JonTre with my co-host Veronica, Coney. We have Leanne back with us. This week we ain't seen her in a while. We supposed to have Isha in here. Isha MAAT. Hopefully she taps in. Tai Cole will be here shortly. She's stuck at the airport, but we're gonna this week's topic is basically building on our journey of getting to consciousness of knowledge of self and getting to the point where we're all at right now. Just like that, we're gonna talk. So how was y'all weekend? I know y'all tired. You need to tell that story, what you just told us, right?
Yeah, oh my God, Leanne, we got this South Side, West Side thing. I can honestly say the West Side party much harder and better than the South Side. I went out West yesterday with a friend, with a family. Them guys party all night long. They dance on poles. They dance all night long. I mean, it was very fun. It was very energetic. The energy was beautiful. The scenery was nice. It was like a little tent. I gotta say, you guys can party. That's what I can say about the West Side. When it comes to partying, they outdid us, y'all. They outdid us on the party. Our party so hard. I don't know if it was the fish or what I had, but I had an accident all over my shirt, my beautiful shirt I had just got. And I was like, oh my goodness, never have I done something like that, or not in a while. But yeah, so I give it to them on the West Side, they can party.
What kind of accident you have, Veronica?
Oh wow, so you're gonna let me tell it on the podcast.
Yeah, we got to know what you was doing.
You said this part of the convo. So I end up just sipping a glass of wine before I left. And then we had some Remy. Earlier than that, I had some fish. So I don't know if it was a fish, the wine, or the Remy. 3 of those did not mix.
It was all three.
My shirt have it, okay?
It was all three. I'm going to tell you where you went wrong at.
What did I go wrong?
You was drinking the bubbly. When you drink wine, champagne, or anything, you got to stick to that. You cannot mix liquor with that wine like that. Especially
I would have known better than that.
Not Remy, right? Not Hennessy, none of that. You can't mix the liquor. Remy, that brown, If you drinking wine, you're going to have to go white. That's the only way you're not going to throw up. You have to stick to vodka or something. But once you go Remy, cognac, or tequila, and then you ate fish.
Earlier that day, I had some fish, and I was like, wow.
So the fish
I was like, my whole dinner is on my shirt. Beautiful shirt. I mean, the shirt was lovely, beautiful shirt. But I soaked in the tub last night, and this morning I had to clean up a real big mess. I was really saucy, like, dang.
So West Side of
Chicago, y'all. This is me. I'm from Chicago. I give it to the West Side. I give it to you guys. Y'all can party. Y'all can definitely tell. Y'all can party. Y'all can know how to do a party. And whoever the DJ was, he was off the chain. I didn't catch his name, but dude was really good.
Okay.
I gotta give it to you guys. Leanne, there you go. You have it. I give you a West Side on a platter. This is yours.
So what you do this weekend, Leanne?
I went to a sip and paint for a friend of mine. It was her birthday is this week coming up, so she celebrated her birthday with us painting pictures of Black women, of course. I think this one I have behind me was one I painted at one of her birthdays a while back. So it was about Black women, positivity, and just like putting your affirmations. Mine's still drying, so I haven't hung it up yet. But it was nice. It was exactly the opposite of what Veronica said our West Side friends like to do. Since I am from the West Side, I was not partying, just painting.
Yeah, just
sipping my way to a better, more positive life.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you one other thing. Even though I had a rough night last night, this morning me and Tai went to an event. It was very nice. It was like an all-Black vendors event. Beautiful. It was so many different vendors there, so many different foods. It was really good. I did it again. I started drinking some Hennessy until they have any left. But I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm not sick. I want to go to sleep, but I'm gonna have my rock out. Okay.
So we
I
took
made sure I didn't overdo it.
right. So
Just being social. It was just a social thing.
I chilled this weekend. I ain't do nothing, man. I'm in Houston, and they got a tropical storm coming through. So I was in McAllen, Texas, which is right there by the Gulf where the hurricane was coming in. So I got a load, moved me north to Houston, and I decided to chill for the weekend in the hotel room. I ain't do nothing. Watch sports. That's all I did. Chill. All day, chill. Yeah, it was a good sports day. Like, I just watched a good Laker game, and I'm a Laker fan, fanatic, so we won, we 2-0. But I ain't do nothing as exciting as drinking and making accidents on my shirt. I wish I could have got lit.
That was not exciting at all.
I wish I could have got lit like that.
Trust me, that ain't what you wanted. I mean, it was good going down, but I did not want to get out the bed this morning, but I had to force myself out the bed. But I'm going to tell you some other thing that happened yesterday. I got a very disturbing phone call. And it's kind of interesting. I feel a certain kind of way, but I still got my spirits up. My mom's block, 4 people got shot, and it was 1 fatality. And she called me hysterical, crying and everything. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I'm thinking, of course, of one of my brothers, one of my family members. But it's one of the guys down the street that she adore. He always goes to the store for her. You know how the elders are. Somebody said him go to the store. They go into the store. This guy always goes to the store for my mom, do anything she wanted to do, whatever. He ended up getting shot yesterday. Luckily, he didn't. He just got shot, and he'll be okay. But the other person that was out there, he didn't make it. And I feel a certain kind of way about that. I feel totally. I feel like I don't even know why. I feel like I can't even accept it. I guess that's the reason why I'm on this thing. Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty, huh? Yeah, work. So why you got the oven on? I'm on the podcast. Thank you.
Right, all our kids get this up.
Yeah, so my airman is here from turn it off. Yeah. I apologize, you guys. My airman is here for her birthday. She'll be 19 next Thursday. So I got another young person in the house. But nonetheless, like I was saying, I digress. Like I was saying, it's still, I cannot freaking believe that somebody died yesterday. Like, that totally is like unbelievable. But guess what? You hear about these things all the time, right? Right. I know a young lady who lost her son on Labor Day. And that was really overwhelming, right? But for it to hit that close to home on my mom's block, like literally 3 doors down, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I didn't even know the kid that got killed. But it's just a mere fact that some freaking body, it's a murderer on the loose, and he that close in a facility, And it was said that the day before, somebody jumped on him and beat him up. And of course, he come back and retaliate and shoot up the block, shoot up where they was hanging at. And 4 people get shot and 1 get killed. So that's like really troubling. That's like just totally just off the wall crazy. And then to make matters worse, once I got a phone call saying they kind of like shooting back and forth over there from the other side of where my mom stay at. And it's like these other blocks, big time, just, it's just a war zone. So that's it's really disturbing, very disturbing. And I definitely feel a certain kind of way about that.
Yeah, I also got bad news yesterday too. I just want to say peace and paradise to Deshaun. A close friend of mine got found in his car, passed away. I think Thursday. I think it was missing for 2 days. Thursday they found. But yeah, just peace and paradise, to my friend. This was a good friend. You could say road dog, running during this promotion game and throwing parties, promoting, doing music. Somebody that, that's right next to you during these times and these memories, and lost them. And it's shocking I had to find out on social media, but, it just, more so, man, we got to take better care of ourselves. That's basically what
he passed away from, he was sick. I'm sorry, he was sick?
Yeah, he basically like Chadwick Boseman. He knew he was sick, but he didn't let nobody know. So a lot of us was clueless. You could see it, just like Chadwick. You could see the difference between Chadwick from when he was in the Black Panther to recently. You know, he was looking like he was dealing with some stuff, and he was dealing with some stuff for a while. I could tell, you know, watching him, because you know we all grew, and I wasn't doing that promoting game no more. So we all kind of just was doing our own things, and some people, you know, was digressing or whatever, and like alcoholism, you know, just a lot of stuff, man. Just take better care of ourselves and check on your friends. That's what I also want to say. We go through things, and we might fall out with each other, but check on your friends. Don't let something small keep you away from your people, man. Like your day ones, the people that you really care for. You don't want to, because I was at the man's house right before I left out this time. So before I left Charlotte, the last time I was at home, I actually was at this man's house, and he was sleeping in bed, and I made a joke like I had to go in there and wake him up, you know, because I haven't seen him in a while. And Shad, I didn't even get to see him, you know, just to see him and speak, just to see him smile and act the way he act. He has this energy about him that I love, and he gonna be missed. And rest in peace to Deshaun. And yeah, man, I was dealing with that yesterday. Yeah, I had found out yesterday. So yesterday I was kind of in an ill mood, you know. But I'm good right now. Like, I accept it, but you know, it's just a warning to me and everybody else. Like, just take better care of yourself, you know. Bad habits, I got a kick, you know. I'm not perfect, you know, so I don't judge him for whatever symptoms he had or addictions he had, you know. I don't judge nobody. Just learn from it, you know, and I have to apply it. Stop being hard-headed. You know, we all could be hard-headed. Even with the black-on-black crime, it's all about respect, you know, when it comes to that. Anything could be talked about, you know, and worked out like men.
Absolutely.
You know, men want to always show their aggressive side and never want to tone down their aggression or testosterone. They always want to live off of that and trying to prove a point. You don't got to prove a point. The best point you could prove is to yourself. You know, I think sometimes we need to just walk away and let it go, you know, because a life is valuable. It's valuable, you know, because you only get one. So why waste it? You know, why waste it on something petty? You know, and we're going to have to talk about that, though, because I feel like a lot of people have been numb to this type of lifestyle, and they're accepting it to where, like you said, we hear it all the time, and then we'll go about our day. Ain't no marches for black-on-black crime. And we make a lot of excuses like, oh, we live in the same vicinity. Yeah, if we live in the same vicinity, we should be treating each other like neighbors. You know what I'm saying? We should treat each other like neighborly people. We don't treat each other like that. We treat each other like that, like the youngins say, the ops. You know, we look at each other with, like, it's a competition thing, but it's not. Like, we still haven't learned that together we can get far. You know, as an individual, you'll get nowhere. You'll be singled out. And the perfect example, like Kaepernick, you know, Kaepernick decided to take on what he took on by himself, and he got singled out and removed from his job easily. Now, if he would have just united with his brethren, other players, and got some more players that were worth something, he wouldn't have lost his job, I feel like he took that on, you know. It's an ego thing. You know, a lot of us men, we move off the ego. We move off the testosterone. We scared to show our feelings, our heart. And I just feel like a lot of us need counseling. Like, especially when we go to jail and prison, like, it should be counseling, should be a part of that process when they come home. Because you got to think, if you did like 5 years just next to testosterone, it's a competitive thing all day. It's like pit bulls when you let them off the chain. You know, they're going to go wild. A dog that been on the chain for a long time, and you finally let them off the chain, they go wild. But when you got men in a cell and then you release them out and they're around nothing but men who are always going to compete, because you got men that got people that care for them at home, that send them stuff. You got men that did people dirty and nobody care for you when you in there. So now you competing and now you want to take what that other man get. And it's no learning process when you're in prison or in jail unless you want to learn. But yeah, I just want to say rest in peace to Deshaun. And we definitely going to, I think in the following weeks, dig on this black on black issue that we got, because we need to figure out a solution. That's been my biggest thing I think about when it comes to our people is how can we reach the youth. Before in the 80s and the 90s, the church would try to reach. The church would be out there asking for peace in the neighborhood, and we don't get that no more. So I think it's just the people, like the people in the neighborhood like us, that's tired of it, that has to stand up, and make some noise, because they making all the noise with these guns. I'm tired of it because I got kids, and it's like every day you think about your child in the neighborhood we stay in. It ain't no different from the shy, The bullets go off everywhere. And like I tell these young boys, man, y'all got all these guns, but none of y'all practicing. None of y'all learn how to shoot. Y'all just grab these guns and get out there and just be shooting, not knowing there's a method to shooting. I'm only saying this because I was in the military. There's a method when it comes to shooting that gun. It's about your breathing. It's about breathing, all type of things. I'm not saying that I'm supporting gun violence. No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is you got these young boys with guns that ain't never been into a shooting range in their life. And they running around with these guns, playing cops and robbers or whatnot. And they shooting without knowing what they're shooting at. So innocent people get killed. Right. And it just got to stop. We need to come up with a solution. But, that's not today's topic. I just had to dig on that because Veronica.
We got to straight make it that topic.
No, that's what I was saying. In the following weeks, that's what sparked the convo is. Like we would talk about something that really ain't the topic, but later on it will be a topic. And
I did have a question. When you was talking, and I agree with most of what you said, but you was talking about Colin Kaepernick. Do you think that he didn't ask other people to be a part of his movement? Do you think he went out there on some martyrdom, or did he ask other people and they were afraid to lose their jobs, and so he was the only one that took the stand?
No, I think he definitely did it on his own, because at the time, I watch sports, so I kind of know a little bit more, like all this movement about, get Kaepernick his job back, he's getting blackballed. First, Kaepernick wasn't even playing. Kaepernick was the backup quarterback at the time. Like, his starting position was gone because his skill level went down. So he wasn't good at the time. We got behind him because of the movement that he did. It wasn't on a football standpoint at the time. It was on what he was doing for our people, right? So when I look at it as a football fan and knowing what was going on, like, yeah, he might be getting blackballed, but the coaches and all that, the teams didn't want him because they haven't seen. Last time they seen him play, he didn't have, his skills went down from the Super Bowl quarterback he was. Like, his coach had changed, and it was like that was the only coach he could play for, it looked like, for one thing. So that's one of the reasons I think the teams weren't giving him a job. But the other part is basically what I'm saying. He didn't. He probably, when he did it, he was doing it on his own, and then his teammate that was a Panther last year, what's his name? Crossed my mind, but they joined him. His teammates, certain teammates joined him. But what I'm saying is, once he knew he was going to do that, and that's what he was protesting for, I feel like he should have called some of his brothers up, so he wouldn't get singled out. That's how they easily get us. If you single yourself out, man, they can eliminate you. They can move you out the picture easily. Move them. But if it wasn't for his brothers catching on to it, because you had some other people from other teams doing it. You know what I'm saying? That's where all the fuss came about the flag, is because other people started doing it. Because they actually, once he spoke and said why he was doing it, people were listening. His brothers was listening. Yeah, we need to do that. But if he would have just called before, it would have been more successful. I think he still would have a job to this day because he singled himself out. But It was a good thing that he did. I just wish, like I said, he could have displayed the unity thing. That's basically what our people really need to see, is like us on a united front, like black women right now. Black women are on a united front right now. Like I said, they're fighting for us. They're fighting on every standpoint right now, even as a vice president right now. Like, this movement is being made as a black woman, and this image is being seen for black women that you guys are moving up in a position of power. So, I mean, you have to see that image and be able to take it and be inspired, regardless if you like the woman or not. She's doing her job. And that's what I'm starting to accept, like people doing their job. You know, this is their job. Like, politics is a dirty game. It's a dirty job. But she played the game to the best of her abilities to get her to be picked to be vice president. And yeah, I just feel like the whole movement could have went better, you know, and they wouldn't have been just so caught up on trying to change it. Oh, it's all about the flag. We would have been still focused on police brutality, you know, because it's still going on to this day, and the NFL's not even talking about it like that. And we made it an NFL thing when it's a USA thing. You see what I'm saying? The NFL can't change no laws, but America is the one who got control of our laws, and that's where I felt it got lost at. But yeah, what was you wanted me to talk about that Kanye and Jay-Z thing, right?
Yeah, I saw that. That was so interesting because
that was
he was on a rant. Kanye was on a rant, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he was basically tweeting. He was tweeting. It was a lot of tweets that he made. One tweet was that he's about to, he wrote a tweet to his daughter, North, telling her what he was about to do, and if something happened to me, that he's about to take on the industry for everybody. Like, this is a fight for all his brothers. You know, one day he tweeted that he misses friends, his real friends. He wants to bring them back around. He mentioned he wanted an apology from Drake and I think J. Cole. He was just on his Kanye ones and twos, but Kanye's not dumb. Kanye knows what he's doing. This was a rumor that I heard a long time ago when him and Jay-Z stopped really rocking like that, that Jay-Z had did that. But I'm going to say when I read it, though, because I think it was more of the headline that catches your eye. But when I read it, Jay-Z, Sean Carter's name's not even mentioned once in that contract thing that he did that. So that's a big factor right there, because a headline, a lot of us read just the headline and don't actually go into the article or whatever is displayed and read that. We'll just clickbait, share. I'm going to share it. And I shared it, but I actually read it, and I was like, let me see if anybody noticed it. And Isha, MAAT, she saw it. And all she said, for real? Okay, she put the laugh out loud thing. And I already knew what she was laughing at because she read. I know she went in there and read it. I was like, so I just told her, right, Sean Carter name not even in the contract. So where did they get all this Jay-Z sold his songs, right? So where did they get all of that from? Because Kanye was actually signed to Dame Dash, not Jay-Z. Even though Jay-Z's part owner of Rockefeller, there's 3 owners in Rockefeller at the time. So we have to really be careful how, because I feel like everybody is attacking Jay-Z, but when you got somebody in a position of power like that, like him, and like I said, some people are just doing their job, they playing the game. The reason why he split up with Dame is because Jay-Z saw bigger for himself. That's when he wanted to be selfish. Yes, he was being selfish because he was moving up. But if the powers that be said, I can't take my brother with me because yada, 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 he's this way, which everybody could see he was that way. You know, Dame Dash is like Suge Knight, but with just the mouth. You know, Suge was the physicalness, the intimidation point. Dame Dash intimidates you with his mouth. He was just going to tear you down with that mouth. And them powers that be, they ain't about to deal with all that. So then Jay moved up. Jay quiet. That's what they like. He quiet because Jay has a plan. Everything he do, he has a plan. He's a Sagittarius. So I'm not going to reveal who I really am I'm gonna just get to where I'm trying to get to, then I'm gonna reveal. So that's why you see when Beyonce is showing her conscious side when she was Black Panthers at the Super Bowl, you know, Jay-Z talking about the 444, giving us game on economics basically, and how to flip your money and be smart with your money. Stop buying cars and Jordans and buy land. See, these are the games he's giving. Why would he give us that if he's against us, right? So, and then you got this week, JC. The reason why I didn't want to talk about the Kanye thing, I talk about it like Kanye dealing with that. He got to deal with the labels. That's the powers that be. And if Jay-Z did have control over his masters, which I don't believe, because the article is basically saying he sold Kanye's rights to his stuff to get his own, to gain his own. Why would he need to do that? You know what I'm saying? It's like it didn't make no sense at the time. And I also heard that rumor before. You know, they'll pin brothers against each other when all in all, the powers that be the ones who sold that. Whoever was the head of that label sold his rights, because that's who actually owns it, not Jay-Z. So Jay-Z was like, when he was managed, I guess the CEO, when he took over being the person for over Def Jam, I think that's what they're talking about. But he stepped down. I don't think so. I don't know. That whole situation is just funny. It's just people read, man. Don't just go for the clickbait and start bashing your brother, because when you read the comments, it's just wild. And that's what it is. It's the comments of how people will go straight to attack. And Veronica got me on that to where I'm just not trying to bash anybody no more that look like me.
I got you on that.
It don't do nothing for me, or it don't change the situation. Like, if I really felt some type of way, and like Isha was telling me, like, why would you try to tell somebody who don't know you from spick to span? They don't know us. So. But yeah, so what the topic this week was basically our journeys to getting to where we are now. And I'll start. Like, you had anything to add on to that? Did you read the contract, Leanne?
I looked at the contract and I was like, okay, I knew it was probably going to be some type of clickbait and everything like that. But I was trying to figure out if that was why he was going on his Twitter rant, or if they just threw that in there because he was going on the Twitter rant. But then I know, like, he's not the first person. So I watched a video the other day off somebody's Instagram, and they were talking about owning your masters. So I was like, oh, this is so convenient. They were talking about how Michael Jackson not only owned his own masters, but he owned the masters for, like, the Beatles. He had this whole catalog. And when you hear that he owned the masters, everybody's like, oh, Michael Jackson just went out and purchased them. But what really happened was he renegotiated with Sony, which it kind of sounds like similar to what the Jay-Z thing. He renegotiated with Sony, started his own production, and in part of the deal with him renegotiating with Sony, they own these masters, but because he negotiated this deal and he was part owner of Sony, he owned the masters as well. So that means that he was able to be a part owner of all these different things. And so that's why he didn't really need to do music anymore, because he was a billionaire off of the fact that they own the rights to all these songs. So when I saw the thing with Jay-Z, I was thinking it was like a similar deal. It wasn't necessarily that Jay-Z sold his masters to somebody else, but in order to renegotiate his contract so that he owned more of himself, he renegotiated the contract of all the things that he owned and signed away some of those rights in order to have his own masters and own his own music. So it was just not like the same thing where they're like, oh, he stole from him, but it's just like the record company owns that. And so if I have leverage where I get to renegotiate my contract so I can own more of me, I'm going to leverage the other people in my camp that can, make money and own stuff too. So I just thought the whole thing was interesting. I'm always talking about ownership. So it's kind of more of a, like, you hear a lot of people that are barking about how the system is not for them, but it's because the system in a way let them down. They weren't privy to the knowledge that everybody else has, that ownership is the thing that matters the most. You could make as many songs, you could become a millionaire, whatever, off of the music you make, but it's the ownership of the music you make that's more important than being the person in front of the mic or being the person in front of the people singing the songs.
Right. I mean, ownership is important in all ends because I look at, even with the Jay-Z Kanye thing, Jay-Z created his own platform as far as Tidal. And when he created Tidal, he brought all these artists up under him. But they all own a piece of Tidal. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like what we do with the life insurance thing. They all own a piece. It's like stock into it. They all gain. I remember when he first came out with it, Kanye was ranting about it, you know, basically speaking against being with Tidal. You know, Drake also, like, Drake stayed with Apple. You know, he stayed with the big boys. And Kanye was like, I need to be with the big boys. Why I go over here? But he went to support his brother, but in his head, in the mind, he really didn't want to do that because Kanye wants to be at the same level as his brother. He wants to be that, you know. When Jay-Z got married, Jay-Z was more thinking about building his family up, you know, and now Kanye, like, I thought I was a family, so let me go get me a Beyonce, which was Kim Kardashian, which is not Beyonce, but he felt he needed to get something like that and build his own. Like, if you just watch how people move, it's just, man, you gotta read your contracts. And they say, like, the music industry is the most dirtiest. Michael Jackson he basically owned Sony because he owned all them catalogs. Till his death, he owned them catalogs. And once he died, like, his mom and before he died, he basically gave like Little Richard his catalog. You remember Little Richard didn't own nothing. He gave Little Richard his catalog, James Brown, like all the old school people that were up under that realm of Sony, he gave them their catalog. But he kept the Beatles. He kept certain catalogs, you know, and he wouldn't sell them. He was living off that. Like, basically, that was interest for his kids. And you got his mom, and then once he died, sold some of that back to Sony, including with some of Michael's catalog. So it's just funny, like, because, you know, they know nothing about the industry. Somebody talked her out of that. But Michael was setting his family up, which was generational wealth. You know, that's probably why he adopted them kids, or however he had them babies. That's basically probably why he did that. So he had something that could actually benefit from his catalog, his estate. You know, he didn't want to just leave his estate to his mom and dad because they're older. He didn't want to just leave it to them. You know, he wanted to actually leave it to somebody. That's the type of dude Michael was. He didn't care if it was his kids or not. You know, that's how much he loved kids. And that's why they actually used, I feel, that he was messing with little boys and stuff like that. When, you know, what's coming out right now in society is that the powers that be love messing with these little kids and little boys and stuff like that. So, but they pinned that on Michael, like Michael was just, nah, y'all did that. You know, it's a learned behavior. If he was, y'all taught all of them people that's in that industry, this is what you got to do to get to this far. You know, you hear Corey Holcomb talk about that all the time. But what's up, Ty?
Yo, I'm good, family. Thanks for asking. What's up with you guys? I'm just tuning in to the conversation.
We good. We building on current events and stuff like that. And basically, we heard that you got Veronica on the lit side of things.
What'd you say?
We heard you got Veronica this weekend on the lit side. She said the West Side party harder than the South.
Hey, West Side is the best side, you know, but, you know, she know what it is now. Yeah, we had a ball, man. We had a ball. Something I haven't gotten a chance chance to get out and do in a long time. And likewise for she. And we just had a beautiful time amongst some beautiful people, you know?
Right. That's good. So I'm gonna start with my journey. My journey, basically, how I got to this point in my life. I say it started as a child, like with me. Just knowing, I didn't know who I was, but it was always something that I knew was something about me and the way I think. Like I tell people, I admired Martin Luther King's movement, basically. Martin Luther King, the man. I could never, the way our people are now, the way we react to the littlest things, and for Martin Luther King to be so peaceful, you know, during them times of going through storms and stuff, that used to inspire me, like not to be violent towards my own, basically. But I will be violent towards others, but not my own. I use that as a youngin', growing up in Inglewood and dealing with gang banging life around me and all that. I use that mentality for my people and not white people, I guess you could say. I wasn't around white people like that in Inglewood, but Mexicans and all that. I just was real in tune with blackness, like on some black pride stuff. I always was studying. I was always studying about that, and as a youngin', and Malcolm X. Then I came across the Malcolm X theory, and by any means, and I was onto that. And then Khalid Muhammad. These are just the things that really probably got me more in tune as a youngin' coming up. Like Khalid Muhammad was like my dude. Like I was on Farrakhan as a youngin', but when I've seen Khalid Muhammad, like during the riots and the way he used to talk on the Donahue show, the way he used to just unapologetically black, just let you know he was more than just a Muslim. You know, he represented Kemet as a Muslim. He represented all spirits and aspects of Africa. He represented, and he spoke it, and he stood on the square and in the public eye. He didn't back down. That mentality started to grow on me to where I had that in school. I used to get in trouble a lot in school because I used to speak my mind, stay on my square. Then it was the church aspect of things, being a Christian, raised as a Christian, and it just didn't mesh well with me in my spirit. And I knew that as a youngin', like I'm something different. This is not me. The way they are, and not speaking like I'm separate from them, but just the way that structure was built, like going to church, doing these rituals. You know, I wasn't with all that. I wasn't with having to confess, and I'm always more so not being able to question anything. And that's the way they was teaching us, like you can't question God. And I'm like, well, how would I learn if I don't question certain things? You know, this is the type of mind frame I had as a youngin' and a teenager. Why not question? Why I gotta shut up? I need to know how I'm gonna get the answers if I don't ask questions, you know. I'm researching something that's ancient. If I'm reading this Bible, this is ancient stuff. I have to ask questions because I know what I'm reading it as is in English form. I always knew English was the last language, so it's a bastard language. So why wouldn't I ask questions? Because I need to know what this meant. These words mean in the African dialect, you know, because the way we talk and the words we use it's got a whole nother meaning. That's why I always ask Veronica to go get the definition of something, because there's an origin to every word that we use. There's an origin of where it comes from. There's a prefix of that word that we use, like using the word re. Anything with the R-E in front of it means just to turn back to, or to return, to come back, you know, to do again or whatever, return or reopen. You know, that means you opened it, you did it before, now you're doing it again. Like, so I just start messing with the wordplay like that. And once I start learning like that, going to church and everything really got me in tune to my spiritual side. So I wouldn't downplay it. It just got me in tune to myself as far as a spiritual being, and not just in the physical. It got me to understand that I have something living inside of me that'll live on after I die, you know, after this flesh had died. Like, it got me in tune to that type of thought process. But the way of the religion is not me. You feel what I'm saying? I have a free conscience. I was more stuck on being liberated with self, being liberated in this country. You know, liberation is the movement. You know, that's what I learned from Angela Davis and Assata Shakur, just studying these people back in the day. It wasn't they fought to vote for the rights to vote. No, they didn't fight. We fought for being liberated. Liberated means to be free. you know, to be free amongst our people and be able to dwell amongst our people the way we dwell among them without any interference, basically. Just being liberated. And that's what I stuck on. And my journey went far. I kind of lost track of church. I got out the church, stuff happened. I went to the military. So I kind of really, straight out of high school, I went into the military, and it's a lot of things that happened in the military that kind of snapped me in. Like, I was born in the 80s, but when I was in the military, the only thing I kept hearing is what the 70s and the 60s was when Vietnam happened or whatever, and when the World War II happened, all that stuff, when they was like, black man, go home, this ain't your war. You know, that used to hit me a lot during boot camp. Like, black man, go home, this ain't your war. I'm sitting here battling a drill sergeant that's black. He looked like me, but he's treating me like how, per se, a cop would treat us, per se, how a master would treat us, how racist rednecks and white folks would treat us, how this systematic racism treats us. That's what that military was to me as a black man, as far as the first part in boot camp. Even though I learned, like, boot camp was just trying to break you. And that whole sense of being broken takes me back to the mind state of a slavery. You know what I'm saying? That's how they took our knowledge from ourselves. The original people we lost all that because we were broken. They broke us. They broke everything that we stood for. So you had to basically adopt a whole nother lifestyle, you know, even being integrated in. Like, before we wasn't integrated, we was amongst ourselves. We was able to be amongst ourselves. That's where the Black Wall Streets flourished. That's where we had Marcus Garvey came about, where we was able to still be amongst ourselves. They weren't integrated in when Marcus Garvey came. So he had to, the way his drive was, well, I'm going to compete with them. They got stores. I'm going to make my own store. I'm going to go get our own produce, you know, so we don't have to go to their stores and go to the back door to get the leftovers and the chitlins. So basically the military was like a wake-up call for me. I had an incident happen, but that's one of the stories I could tell it right now. So when I was in the military, they have this thing called out processing. And the out processing basically is all the people that's going home, whether you getting kicked out, whether you had a death in the family, you got to go home or something like that. It's called out processing. I was put in the out processing because I had fell out with my drill sergeant. You know, I didn't get a dishonorable. I got a general discharge. But before they let you go home, they have to feel like, you have to make them feel like you've been broken, basically. Mm-hmm. They're not gonna let you go home until you act right, basically, where you basically gonna obey. That's what I'm gonna say. Obey every command. That's the only way you're gonna go home. So they would wake us up every morning, have us standing attention, and they will call out names. If they call your name, you step out of the formation, out of attention, and you go upstairs and grab your stuff. Kind of like prison. If they call your name in jail, like in the middle of the night or something, that means you going home. You either going home or you going to the yard. You going to prison. Basically, they coming to get you. You know, so it's basically when you get your name called in the military, they're coming to get you, or you being able to go home. So if you don't get your name called, that means you ain't acting right yet. So basically, they had us on detail work, detail duty, same as prison. You had to wash dishes, you had to work in the kitchen, you had to do landscaping on the base where you cutting grass, cutting weed, all that stuff. So that type of stuff woke me up. Excuse me. One night, we praying that night. One dude, black dude, it's a black brother, he was leading the prayer. And we praying for this man that's going home because his newborn baby died. So he had to go home. So he's broken down, he's crying during the prayer. When I pray, like in a circle like that, I don't never close my eyes. I never bow my head. You know, they tell you to bow your head closed. I never do that. I don't know why. It's just my consciousness. I never want to do that. So the man, I watched this black dude get up like he a preacher, like he about to lay hands on the dude that's in the middle of the circle crying. And something came over. I could tell. I seemed to change. Like he became possessed. This is a real story, no lie. He got the black dude praying was possessed.
Possessed the one that was praying for somebody else?
One that was praying for somebody else was possessed.
What? What was he possessed by?
A demon, whatever you want to call it. A ancient, whoever evil person, spirit jumped into him. Okay. Whatever you want to call the devil or whatnot. That's what I said. Okay. An evil spirit took over his body. It took over his consciousness. Basically, he tries to grab the dude and slam his head. Then he's trying to kill the dude that was crying. So all of us jump on him. But long story short, because I'm going to have to tell the story again, but long story short, that kind of spooked me up as far as the spiritual realm. Seeing that with my own eyes. You only see that on movies. So, and I knew the Bible was something with the Bible because when he was possessed and they were holding him down, it's like 6 of us holding him down. I grabbed the Bible. That's why, because I'm thinking in the Christian form right now. Like, I grabbed my Bible. You know, they say you fight the devil with the God's word. So I grabbed my Bible and I opened the book and turned to Psalm and I just started reading it. You know, Psalms is nothing but a book of songs. That's what Psalms is, a book of songs that praise Lord, that praise God. So I'm reading that, and the dude just going crazy. F the devil, F God, and all this. He's going crazy.
Yeah, he's not.
So the MPs come and grab him. They take him out. I go with him because he's a brother. Because I'm like, man, these military police about to beat this nigga ass because they think he's faking. They basically saying he's faking because he's trying to go home. I'm like, bro, he's not faking. I've been every day with this dude. This is not that dude right now. You know what I'm saying? It's something else in him. So they had him strapped in the bed. I went with him. They strapped him down in the bed. They gave him a shot to knock him out for 12 hours. After they gave him the shot, he woke up in like 45 minutes. So, you know, he strapped to the bed on that same possessed type shit, you know. They had to shoot him up again and knock him out. But, you know, it's just crazy to this day. I don't know if he ever made it out of that base, you know what I'm saying? As far as I know, he probably might be in the military jail, insane hall, you know, at the insane ward. You know, they'll put you away and you'll never know. They'll write a letter to your parents, tell them that you passed away. Long story short, I come home. I go through a whole lot of stuff coming home. Basically street stuff. You know, I'm lost. People looking at me differently because I got kicked out the Army. Even though I didn't get a dishonorable, I had a lot of people turn their back on me. Close people, you know, and it just made me think differently. You know, people that are Christians turned their back on me. So how would I feel about being a Christian when I know you're supposed to not judge and do all these things? So I really was disconnected from that lifestyle, you know, like it's not real, all that stuff, but something spiritually is real. So I started getting in tune with my African side. I got locked up. I read the Bible, but I read the Aquarium Gospel, book of Eiland. I read that book, Enoch. It's the book of Enoch. And I read that book, and it hit something to me, and it was something African about it. And then coming home, I just changed my whole lifestyle. Like, I changed the friends that I had. Like, I didn't change. I just started coming around them and start focusing on myself. And I figured the more I focus on myself and the more I was more being in tune to myself, I started getting in tune to my consciousness, basically. Me talking, the God in me talking to me. And it was leading me to different things. I started studying Dick Gregory, listening to Dick Gregory. You know, Dick Gregory was a comedian. Dick Gregory is the real first black president. And you'll hear him say that a lot. He'll tell you he won. Like, they used to cheat with the vote. That's why I don't vote now, because they used to cheat back then. He let me know that they cheat. You know what I'm saying? Dick Gregory, when you listen to your ancestors, they'll tell you everything about where we are. So I started studying him. I started studying Henry Clark. I started studying Dr. Ben, you know, Yakinen. And he introduced me to Kemet. He introduced me to using that the black woman was God, you know, and the way he explained it was, you know, that's your first teacher. They give life like what God is supposed to be. He gives life. who gives life on earth as a human? The women. But who's the first? The black woman. This is how he taught African, you know. And so once I start studying that, I start going into the books. I start going into lectures. Then I ran into Griff. Once I ran into Griff, what attracted me to Griff would speak that same shit that Khalid Muhammad used to speak, just the same way. It was a way that I could relate to. He was being himself. He was street. Like he was slang, hip hop. I'm hip hop. So Griff was more relatable to me. And he would give his number out, like his real number. So one day I called it. You know, I called it. I didn't think he would pick up. So he picked up. And we just built a relationship from then to where I wanted to put a lecture together. I wanted to bring him to Charlotte because I felt like Charlotte need to hear this brother speak, like, because they're not even on this type of stuff right now. Like, everybody want to be a rapper or a trapper. So I brought him to the west side of Charlotte at one of our centers. And once I started doing that, I started meeting a whole lot of different people. Just meeting Griff brought me to a whole different realm. And it's just made me study more. And it felt good. It felt good. I felt confident in who I was. And stuff that just hit me like that to where that's where I'm at right now. Like, I could actually, it's just manifestation, like the power of the tongue, you know, just being able to be yourself and be liberated. Liberating yourself is refreshing. Like, I can move amongst here under the laws, but I'm not under that law no more. Feel what I'm saying? I don't have the same restriction because mentally I already took myself out of this, whatever it is. Because to me, everything we see is an illusion and it's all spiritual. You have to connect while you're physical to that spiritual side to keep yourself sane. A lot of people are losing their mind because so that's how I got here, basically. And to make a long story short.
Okay, Leanne, you ready to go?
Sure. Well, I was like listening to John's story, and I think that it's I didn't go to the military, so I can't say it's similar in that respect, but it's similar as far as like growing up in the church. But for me, I was always, like I like to say, a disruptor. So, you know, when I was growing up in the church, with females, you have to, with being women or girls, you have to look a certain way. And that was just the thing that was in my church growing up. You had to dress a certain way. It was always about more appearance and less about knowledge for women and girls. So it was just, you had to look a certain way. You had to look the part of, you know, like the women in the church. So everybody always had to wear dresses. You had to have, you know, the whole accoutrement. And I was just always kind of wondering, like, why is that so important instead of us learning different things about God or just, you know, stuff like that. It was just more about like what you look like. All the women had certain roles, and I felt like all of the women's roles were like in servitude of the men in the church. And I just wasn't for it. So I remember being young, and when I wasn't in church, you know, I wore jeans or pants or stuff like that. But every time we would get ready for church, you had to change and put on a skirt. And I was just like, why do I have to wear a skirt? I don't even like skirts and dresses. Like, I like to be comfortable. Why do every time I go to church, why do I have to put this on? But it was just like, this is how you're supposed to dress. So I remember being one of the first, like, people, women, girls in the church to wear pants to church. And I remember also getting, like, chewed out in front of everybody about how women don't wear pants. But there was nothing that you could say that even made sense to me as to, like, why that should be a thing. And I also remember from being younger where my father, before he passed away, was a Hebrew Israelite. So I would go to church with him and I had to wear my hair covered. And I have pictures of me being like a young kid, like 5, having to wear like a red bandana over my head because, you know, they believe that women should wear their hair covered because the devil or the evil spirits or whatever could come through the woman's mind and they would affect how the men were saved or anything like that. So it was just so interesting growing up around all of that and just thinking to myself that maybe the stuff that they're teaching us is not exactly correct, because who keeps coming up with all of these rules that everything comes, like all the evil things and the bad things come through the woman to the man. And so now we have to dress a certain way in order to not attract men, or in order to be, you have to be like docile and all. The Bible hardly ever talks about women except for in servitude of men, or they don't give them, like, they rarely name women. It's always the woman this. There's only a few women that have names, but they could tell you a million, like they could give you a list of men and who begat who, and they came from all of these different people. And even the lowest men get their names mentioned, but women didn't necessarily get their names mentioned. So I just always probably was more on a mission to kind of prove people in religion wrong, as into how they see different things, or even that women are this lower caste of people and have to be treated in a certain way. And so all of that comes from a very young age. Ironically, the other day, my daughter said, we were talking about just me like knowing things at certain times. And she was like, that's because you're a witch. And I was like, a witch? Like, I thought she was, using witch as in the nice form of the word that my children should not be using in my presence. But she was saying more as like, she's never been around a person who just knows things, like knows what's going to happen, or can kind of like tell you about somebody's personality without ever really meeting them. And she was like, I have no clue how you know these things, but I just know that you know them. And I said, it actually has been like that since I was younger. I've always been able to just, and like they always called it like the gift, but never that I had it. It was just like my grandmother had the gift. Like she could tell when something was wrong with somebody. And she was a mother in the church, praying woman. She only watched things about Jesus. Like she didn't watch regular TV. If it wasn't a preacher, she wasn't watching it. But she could always just know these things about you. She knew when you were sad, she would call you. She knew when somebody was pregnant, she would call them. She just always had this like sense of knowing. And I found that so much more interesting. But I don't think I came into my own consciousness because of knowing things and having intuition and just having certain feelings. You can't really support that by fact, right? It's just, I feel a certain way. And so I know this is going to happen. And then people question it all the time, even when you're right, because it's like, it's not based in any type of logic for them. And it took me a while to fight against the society's like normal, everything has to be logic and reason based, to the fact that I should just embrace whatever gifts, intuition, and things that I have in order to like live my best life. Because when people don't acknowledge it, it's very frustrating for me. It's just like, I don't know how I know. I just know this is going to happen. Pay attention. Listen, I'm never wrong. And they're always like, oh, you think you're right all the time. And it's like, not in that respect, but it's just, it's hard to express it to people that don't understand or don't believe. That you just have a, I be knowing type of vibe or something like that. So it wasn't until a few years ago, maybe I'll say about 4, that I started getting into things like mysticism or human design or anything like that, because it just wasn't it wasn't supported by my family or the people who were in my circle. It wasn't until I started like branching out and making friends with different people who had different beliefs. And I had to be honest with like anybody else from my past would have been like, oh, that's, in church, they call it witchcraft. So like I've, a lot of things that I look at or I study now weren't supported when I was younger. So I think that like I've always known that I was a little different from everybody growing up, but I probably didn't come into my own consciousness until like 4 years ago. And I think it's still an everyday journey now, because I was just talking to Tai the other day. I was like, I need to get me some crystals. I need to have some more like positive energy. I've been feeling like all kind of like out of sorts. And I know that has a lot to do with just like my own life and things that are going on. But it also is kind of, I feel like as the energy in the world changes, it also kind of changes like my disposition. And so I have to be more prepared and ready for a fight, because I feel like that's what's upon me. So I think it's just me embracing my gifts has been more probably for the last couple of years than I have ever in my past. But that's because I've met some wonderful people like all of you that have kind of like supported that in me, that I haven't had that support my whole entire life.
Right. Hey. Veronica.
Okay, it's my turn.
I definitely want to hear your story.
Y'all want to hear my story?
Isha will be tapping in soon, so I just got a text message from him. So.
Okay, so it all began.
So it'll be good that we go first, because when Isha MAAT get in here, her story, she's gonna tell it.
Yeah, that's an awesome journey. My journey it was kind of sort of like the same. I did coming up. I figure like John was saying with him, he felt like he was different, right? And I totally knew I was different. I just didn't know how different I was, right? So growing up, I would always ask God these questions. Like, God, what is this? What is that? What is it? And this is me in a conversation in my head, right? And on top of that, I had a sense of fearlessness. I was fearless, and I was rebellious to certain things, extremely rebellious, okay? So I was that kid that always, how can I put this? Always, well, I really wasn't that bad, but I would say that I didn't like conform to all the rules. I took a lot of risk, and I don't think people was like, why the heck did she do that? And I was like, okay, I'm fearless. Why I not do it? So anyway, and my journey with the church thing, of course, my mom made us go to church. Coming up, everything was like, do this, do this. Everything's supposed to be, you do this way, is this way or no way. And I always was like, well, then why we gotta do this? Or why is it done like this? So this is me talking in my head, because just like you said, John, you're not supposed to question God. We was taught that you don't question God. Whatever God say, whatever's in the Bible, it's the truth. So I grew up with this, with this mindset on the inside. I'm struggling, but at the same time, I can't really conform to this, right?
Right.
So with that, I got into some trouble, a lot of trouble, coming up as a teenager, a whole bunch of trouble that I probably could have missed, but because I was rebellious and I took risk, it is what it is, right? So fast forward a whole bunch of time till I ended up having a stroke, right? And my rebelliousness. Well, first, as a teenager, I got shot with an 8-gauge shotgun. And that was a crazy little ordeal. Then fast forward, 31 years old, I ended up having a stroke. Now that stroke was that thing changed the whole game for me, right? So my journey of being really awakening to what was really going on in my environment was the mere fact that things was different. So of course I go, I'm sick, I'm broken, my spirit is broken, my body is broken, my soul is crushed. So everything is just like, why did this happen to me? So I go take this journey like, okay, so what did you do to make this happen, right? So I'm like, okay, I did something, I broke one of God's laws, something I did to make this thing happen to me, right? So of course you go to church, and they have this favorite scripture they say at church, call for the elders of the church, let them lay hands on you, and you shall recover. So here I am, I'm praying, I'm doing everything that the Bible say do, right? I'm going to church faithfully on Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, every time the doggone door is open. As I'm knowing, this is where I'm gonna get my healing from, right? I'm spiritually and I'm physically broken. So when it dawned on me like about 2 years into my recovery, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm like, let me start studying this Bible for real. So when I really started studying the Bible, and my soul was just searching for the truth, like something ain't adding up. So it's just like, it was so weird. So I stumbled on, of course, Professor Griff. Now I always say this, John, I'm like, brother, you need to hook me up with this brother. I gotta tell him before, one of us transitioned, like he was a brother that woke me up. I understood his language. It was the way he spoke, and it was the way I was able to relate to him on a certain level, right? So he grabbed my attention. And so when he locked me in with his attention, I was able to pick up some of the things he would tell people to go read this, go read that. So of course I would go get the book. Like his favorite book was like, I think the ISIS papers or whatever, right? But right. That's one of his favorite books. So I ended up getting that book. I ended up getting his book. And that was like the beginning of something very beautiful, right? So it was like, that was it. I tapped into the Black Panther Party. You know, Huey P. Newton is one of my favorite people on the planet. So now I'm tapping into the conditions of the reason why things were set up the way they were set up, right? And the reason why I thought I was rebelling against, you know, my parents were rebelling something, but I'm really rebelling against the system that's really not designed to make me thrive or whatever. So that's what I'm thinking in my mind, right? So then after that journey, after you wake up, you get pissed the heck off, okay? So now you mad as heck. So now you need something to kind of like spiritually get you in tune so you can really know yourself, right? So I open up to a different type of spirituality. So I started reading different books that will help me grow spiritually other than the Bible. Now, don't get me wrong, I still read the Bible. It's all good. But I had to learn how to learn how to separate certain things so I won't get kind of like tangled up in that traditional way of the oral tradition. Because we was taught orally, like this is what you do, well, this say this or this say that. So I really didn't know how to think for myself for a long time. So I just started putting two and two together and started thinking for myself. And when I found out, okay, I got this thought process that I can really think for myself and I don't have to be conformed to this stuff, then that's when I started gaining this knowledge of self. Then just like magic, bam, you meet different people on the journey and they kind of like enhance what you already know. So that's my journey. And that's why I'm here right now talking to you guys. And it's a never ending cycle of always learning and always growing. So that's how I got woken up. That's why I'm on. It's a lonely journey. Everybody, I think everybody is not on the same page, but I could say I'm definitely growing and I'm very open to different schools of thought because I done I tapped into a lot of schools of thought, but the journey is, you know, it's never ending. Right. It ain't gonna be too long when it's somebody.
Knowledge is forever. It's infinite. It's never ending. Knowledge is always gonna be around even when we gone. Like that's one thing. That's why they say knowledge is power, because every day you can learn something new. There's something we don't know. You could focus on, like you say, the different schools of knowledge. Like you're not wrong for doing that. But when we were stuck in that Bible and the Christian, they was telling you everything else is evil, basically. This is it and that's it, you know. But once you step out on your own and just seek knowledge, I don't care what avenue it is, you know, just don't be conformed to a box. You know, they try to put you in a box. Everything in this world is trying to put you in a box. The military is trying to put you in a box, trying to break you and make you the way they want you. But when you decide to be free from everything, that's the ultimate consciousness. Like that's the ultimate liberation. Tai, you able to tell your story right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, we all have some similarities. Of course, most of us in this Western Hemisphere, we all either raised in church or at some point in our life attended church, you know, maybe invited to churches by friends or whatever. But, yeah, me, same story, you know. Was raised in church. Born and raised in church. I come from a musical family as well, so music was a big aspect of my religious upbringing. And with me, I started questioning at a very young age, you know. I was one of those children designated as having the devil in her, you know, asking certain questions. Outside of my age, you know, for my age, I was asking questions that pastor and them couldn't answer. So, you know, I guess the most convenient answer or solution for them was to tell me I had the devil in me. So, you know, with that being said, you know, right then and there, it was just like, okay, that's the disconnect. Now, even when I was in academia, I felt the disconnect. Like, it's a bunch of something ain't right. This stuff don't. I'm reading this stuff, like, even adults can't give me answers for what I'm thinking in my mind. I comment simple questions, you know, but I'm being not only not provided answers, I'm being reprimanded verbally. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wanted to make me feel as if what I was doing, my line of questioning, was out of line. You know what I mean? And with that, I just started searching and seeking within myself. I was blessed to meet a lady named, at the time her name, she was my high school. The high school I attended, which was Harper High School in Chicago, at that particular time, decided my freshman year that they were going to incorporate an African American studies course. And lo and behold, you know, I attended the class. I was one of the students. Man, just privileged because I call it a privilege, man. I learned so much. The lady opened me up. It was just like, it's like once you turn that light bulb on to somebody, you will never turn it off, you know? And me, myself, when she turned my bulb on, it was like, the language, I'll kill a motherfucker trying to turn my light out again. When I knew I was already, you know, on point, these adults, and I couldn't blame them because I came to the conclusion, I later learned that they didn't know. Mm-hmm. They themselves were miseducated. You know what I mean? Right. So, always like the black sheep in my family. I was always thinking different, doing something different. You know what I mean? And different ain't always accepted. So, with that being said, that's pretty much my journey into consciousness. And after Miss Green Roberts, she put me on. She led me to, you know, scholars like Dr. Ben Yokin, Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. John Henry Clark, Francis Cress Wilson, C. Freeman Eel. I could go on and on. The list goes on and on. I'm a student. I stand on the shoulders of some strong people. You know what I mean? My lady, I love her. What's her name? Man, what is her name?
Dr.
She's
Francis
Degree. Joy Degree. Joy DeGrew. Yeah. Dr. Joy DeGrew. Yeah, man. Her. The list goes on and on and on. You know, and just taking from these different trees, picking fruit from these different trees, you know what I'm saying? That's why I got my spiritual, metaphysical, cultural awakening or nourishment from, you know what I mean? And I would take, not only just be around here mimicking or sounding like some parakeet, you know, repeating what somebody said. When I'm referenced books, I would literally go and buy these books and invest energy and time and read these and vet these books for myself, not just because of somebody, I heard somebody say something on the lecture or this or that, you know. And even in my, you know, musical experiences, I ran into some brilliant brothers and sisters, you know, that poured into me. I poured into them, and just, again, once that light on, you know, it never goes off, and, you know, you actually do attract those who can meet you on your level, at your measure, so to speak. You know what I mean? Ever since then, I just been flying around this motherfucker like a, you know, undercloak, because, you know, it is what it is. Everybody got their way. I got my way. And my preference is to, you know, maintain, just be low key. You know, it's like a lot of people are intimidated when they feel as if somebody's more wealthy than them. So when I just try to be, conscious about my approach with people. If they're not as astute, I try to meet them at their measure. You know what I'm saying? Just learning different ways to communicate with the different people. But yeah, that was pretty much my experience with the whole chat, situation. It's just like Leanne said, it was always women being in positions of servitude. A woman ain't supposed to be on no pulpit. It's just a bunch of patriarchal male chauvinism, and Christianity is a vehicle for male chauvinism and white racism and white supremacy to prevail. I started peeping through that kind of stuff like when I was a child, man. And hey, that's why I say you got to protect these babies because they brilliant. Don't let nobody put their light out. I know from firsthand experience from the church to the schoolyard. You know what I mean? Schoolroom. Even had elementary teachers trying to put out little children's lights, right. Especially Caucasian teachers, because that's their position. They see the light in our children, and they immediately try to dim that light. And more so in the little black boys, because the little girls we pretty much, not to say we docile, but we know how to, get in compliance a little bit quicker than the boys. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Even if we just doing it just to get back. So,
yeah, y'all keep y'all spirits. When we young, cause I used to get in trouble because I was a rebel. I rebelled a lot against white teachers. My very first white teacher I dealt with as far as elementary was first grade. Like I got expelled from the school at the end of the first grade. I made it through the whole year, but my crazy ass decided to go tell the white teacher she was a crazy fat white bitch at the first grade.
How about I got kicked out? How about I got kicked out of kindergarten? I got kicked out in kindergarten. Y'all hear this?
But I was blessed to get
and it was almost one of the same incidents. Because I told the lady, I don't even like white ladies. I was a little girl, I don't like white ladies anyway. And they like, it was like a big old thing. They had my mom come to the school. Next thing I knew, they was calling me from the lunchroom table, telling me to clean out my desk. I ain't coming back no more. I'm like, and I was traumatized. Like, what I do? Like, I can't come back to see my friends. But hey, man, it is what it is. I mean, for whatever reason, I felt this lady used to literally be trying to stare me down, trying to have staring contests with me. I would never fall, though. A grown lady. Can y'all imagine that?
Yeah, I went through that. Man, that white lady used to harass me, man. Every time. She told my mom they need to put me on Ritalin.
Whoa.
She told my mom
man.
not to feed me no cereal with sugar in it.
Whoa, she wanted to put your crush your whole gland.
Yeah, they wanted my whole brain. They wanted me basically to sit down and be brain dead. Just sit there.
She wanted to really put your life.
But I was very rebellious. Like my kindergarten teacher she was African. Her name was OBG4.
You remember your kindergarten teacher? OBG4.
Because who could forget a name like that? And she was black. She was black with an afro.
Hey,
she used to come in her little dashiki. She used to come in the dashiki and everything. Like I remember her like it was yesterday. OBG4.
Yeah.
And then my first grade, when I left her, I was mad because my next teacher was a white lady. So it's basically teaching you what the world is like, because she kind of gave us, that African teacher kind of gave us substance and gave us something like that was familiar. But when I went to that white teacher, it was just ridicule and, you sit down. She used to just talk reckless to me. And so I would respond back the way my mom would probably respond. Like my mom would talk shit. And, you know, kids listen to them when they, you know, we talking about house phone. My mom would be on the house phone talking shit about my teacher. And I went back on some Kevin Hart shit. She didn't tell me to go tell the teacher that. I took it upon myself to wait for the last day of school to tell her how I felt. And I learned it hearing my mama talk to a friend about it. I called her, "Left you hear what the fat white bitch want to tell me?" That white bitch got the nerve to tell me that don't feed my child for cereal with sugar in it. So, you know, I'm nosy, I'm ear hustling. So I heard that, so I go back and tell her straight up, like, "You fat white bitch." I'm glad this the last time I'm gonna see your fat white ass. And I ain't never used them cuss words like that in that term, but they put me out. They said you can't come back to second grade next year here. No. What up, Isha? You gotta turn your mic on.
Yeah, I'll be cutting it off so you don't hear the background noise and shit. Cause I'm in my car right now. I just got off the road.
Look, Ty in that car too. She driving. Look at her.
Yeah.
Whipping.
I ain't hiding. I'm trying not to. I turned the light on and shit, but it's still dark.
It's your turn. What was your journey?
It's my turn. Ooh-wee. So I came in on the end of Veronica and I heard Ty talking, and like I'm gathering like what I heard, because I heard Ty's whole thing, and it's like the same thing. Like you really got to realize like it's in you. From like it and it only gets dimmed when as a child when you have parents who don't have a level of understanding. Yeah. Period. So but they really can't even really put it out all the way, but they can kind of, you know, control it a little bit because they beat the shit out of you for saying shit and doing shit. But I was always a force to be reckoned with. And even as a child, they was like, I remember like when like they would try to like spell shit. And because we was around, like me and my cousins, because my mother is from Gastonia, North Carolina. So I grew up in the North with a Southern mother. So I learned, I had like a level of yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, all of that fucking shit. And so I was kind of like laid back. But when I felt the way, everybody knew it. Everybody knew it from when I was a child. Like they used to call me like when I got older, they was like, "Oh yeah, you was a little bitch." Like, and I'm like, damn, I was a bitch. Like, I was just outspoken. They would spell stuff, and I was always smart. I was always intelligent, and they would spell stuff. I remember they was spelling something. I was talking to my mother about this the other day. They were spelling, she spelled cigarettes. I think I was about 4 or 5, and they spelled it because I guess they didn't want us to know what they was talking about. I don't even remember the conversation. I just remember them spelling it, and I was like, cigarettes? And they looked at me and they was like, all right, get out. You go out the room, like, cause you listening too hard. But like I was always a child that you really couldn't tell me nothing if it didn't make no fucking sense. That's why that whole Bible shit, like I was always questioning shit that didn't make no fucking sense. It's like, damn, if you don't want me to believe in Santa Claus, but you want me to believe in this motherfucker in the Bible, then you got to make this shit make sense. Like you would have to make Santa Claus make sense if you want me to believe that shit too. So my journey, I'm trying to surmise it for real. I was always conscious, I feel. I always had it in me. I always had the magic in me in every fucking thing. And when I look back, I see how it got dim. But then it came back because it never left. It never went nowhere. And when I really started to really come into consciousness is when I left home. And I came down to Atlanta. That's my first place that I lived outside of my parents' home. I went to a Black college, Clark Atlanta University, shout out. And I had a professor in my culture and society class. Her name was Alicia. That's my government, Alicia. That's where I get the Isha from, but Isha is very primordial, but yeah. But like the way she taught us and having that experience of being around all of those conscious type of children who are the elites of the society who got a chance to go to a institute of higher learning. And it just opened something up within me. And when I came home, I'm trying to tell my mother certain shit, and she just didn't want to hear that shit. And I didn't understand. I didn't get it. It's like, damn, I'm just trying to bring you some information. Like, this shit is some good shit. Like, I'm trying to tell you some shit that I learned, and you don't want to hear it. But when you come at people who are in the dark with some light, it's like some vampire shit. You know, if the vampires are sitting there when the sun come up, they got to go back in the dark because they can die from that shit. So you unmasking the wool from somebody else's eyes is like a baby that first comes out the womb. Like, they don't open their eyes because they was in darkness for so long. And it's hard for people to get that. So with that being said, like, after that, like, I was with somebody, my first living situation, and he was a Nuwapian, and I learned so much from that shit too. So like, I was just learning information, and that made me even more hungry and more thirsty, because this is shit that I never really like was hearing on it. Like, in the streets, like in New York, like, you go out in the streets, the niggas is preaching on the fucking corner, them Hebrews and the Muslims, and they always on the corner, like, you know, trying to bring people in. So fast forward, like, to when I got probably 30 something, I don't even remember. This was like probably back in 2015, and I started to study the Bible, and I ran into some Hebrew niggas again. And the way those motherfuckers study the Bible is unprecedented, because they bringing line upon line and precept upon precept. So like, they teaching you like some real ass shit, and they don't go within the 66 books of the Bible only. They, first of all, they go within a Bible that's called the 1611 Bible, and that's before the Council of Nicaea came in and took out and changed a whole lot of shit that was in there already. And you could really see like how 1611, so let's think about what 1611 was. 3 years before they brought the slaves over here. And when they brought the slaves over here, they really had to figure out how they was going to incorporate their paganism into that historical book, because I really feel like the Bible is not a fuck around book. It's really a book of spells and a book of history, but it's just been tampered with so fucking much. So when I started to really like dig into the Bible, I was digging in on a deep ass level. It wasn't no surface level shit. This was really like on some beyond shit. And I was so intrigued, like, damn, this shit was in there this whole time and I had no clue. And I'm not even gonna say in the 66 books, like, it's some deep ass shit in the Bible that's circulating right now after the fucking whole Constantine shit. So I started digging in that shit, and I'm like, damn, this shit is deep. And the last time I ever went to like actual church, the building, they were doing Q&A, and I was like, oh, this is up my alley. And so they had a panel, and they wanted like people to ask questions. And I had my questions. My questions was never fucking delved into, because them motherfuckers didn't know. And that just took me back to when I was a young girl in the church with my mother, and I'm asking questions, and I get kicked out of youth group for asking questions, because they're like, oh, you being like I was being funny. No, y'all just didn't know how to fucking answer my questions, because y'all don't know. Y'all following something blindly. So at the end of the day, like, my journey into consciousness was the fact that I've always been conscious, but I never had nobody to cultivate that thirst that I had and quench it. And I had to get it on my own. And that's why I raised my daughter totally different than how I was raised. I don't try to slave drive nothing into her. I really try to cultivate what's already there. And it's hit and miss with me, because I mean, shit, that's my one and only child. it's not like it's a manual that comes with these children, but we got to know that we don't own our children, just like our parents don't own us, because we gonna do whatever the fuck we want to do once we get to a certain point in our life. And shit, sometimes when we still in the house with our parents, we still gonna do whatever the fuck we want to do. And I see, like, with my daughter, like, I really try to cultivate what's already there. She's a very intelligent girl. I made her on purpose. She was made on purpose. She wasn't made from an accident or anything like that. And from conception to now, almost 13 years later, she is who the fuck she is and who the fuck she's supposed to be. And I'm cultivating that. So my journey into consciousness was a lonely road, and it was me on my own. And that's how I know, like, it's levels to this shit. I believe in the levels. And some people, even though they're older than you, they still in kindergarten. And if I am in the 6th grade and somebody's in what the fuck I look like arguing with a kindergartner? You don't even know what the fuck I know. I'm not arguing with you about fucking trigonometry, and you fucking haven't even mastered math, basic math yet. You ain't even learned that shit yet. You still learning how to count. So far be it from me. If you're comfortable where you're at in whatever journey that you have right now, as a spiritual being having a natural experience, I have learned over my matriculation in this life that it's not up to me to school you unless you're ready. And that's the whole thing. Once the fucking student is ready, the teacher will appear. If you're not ready, I ain't got no words for you. I got a high and by and a key for you and a little stupid ass shit, but I ain't got no time. I don't got no time, because I'm not casting my pearls amongst swine. If you don't want it, you don't want it. And that's fucking okay. Because there are people who want it. And I know, like, you got to know that, because as we have been able to come together as, I don't know who was all, but whoever we are and we come in contact with and we can vibe with and all of that, those are the people that we need to be lifting up and letting them know, all of us know, that it's not really that dark on this road. There are other people who are seeking the same thing that we are seeking, and it's not up to us who are enlightened to put. Have you? And this is how I put it to John the other night. Like, if you ever been in like a deep ass fucking sleeping good as shit, your bed is comfortable as hell, and have a motherfucker come and wake you up for some bullshit, you mad as hell. Like, what the fuck you wake me up? I was sleeping good. I ain't slept in days, and now I'm sleeping. It's the same motherfucking shit. I'm not about to wake nobody up or try to wake somebody up who's sleeping good, sleeping peacefully in they bullshit. Let them do what the fuck let them sleep. Because whenever the fuck they want to wake up, if they want to wake up, they will. And they'll come to you, because they're going to remember, yeah, that sister or that brother, they was always walking in some real ass light, and I'm trying to get all the way the fuck up. So I need to come to them. They don't gotta come to me. I don't gotta go to a motherfucking person. They gonna come to me. And you gotta know, if you think about it, everybody that you have ever talked to or had a conversation with, and you know they was just looking at you crazy, if ever years later they came back to you like, yo, I remember what you said and this, that, and the third, it's like, oh, okay, so you ready now. So, you know, I mean, I got a long ass fucking story, but I don't think nobody has time for that. So yeah, it's a journey within yourself. This shit that's already in you is pumping through your veins. It's pumping through your veins, but you have got to be the one to nourish that hunger or that thirst. And if you don't want to, that's all right too, because that's the beauty of life, that we have to be as observers, like scientists. We have to be observers. We have to observe, and it's all good. You know what I'm saying?
So one thing I noticed is, it's something Griff said a lot. You know, he goes by the term of like minds, right? Like mine. I heard one of you guys said that you was able to, that's what Ty said, like, being conscious, it brings people to you that's like you. You just have to be aware of who them people are. It's like walking in amongst of zombies, but you're gonna run into a few woke people like you.
Yeah.
Right.
Might not be on the same level as you, but you'll be able, amongst a whole bunch of sleep folk, zombies that's living in this box, and y'all moving around together, you'll be able to peep that one that's like you. You know, it's not even off a conversation. It's like a magnet. It's gonna be drawn onto you.
That light that Ty be talking about. That light. It's that light.
Yeah, man, that's real. I mean, I even got to the extent where, you know, it's like what Isha was saying, you know, my experience was a lonely endeavor as well. So it was me doing all this work. I'm going inside doing the work on myself. You know, I was my own experiment, so to speak. And during my evolution, it's like, I had to like start dumbing myself down around certain people, like my family included, you know what I'm saying? Because they would look at me like I would be saying all this shit that I'm learning would start bubbling out of my ass, and they'd be looking at me like, what the fuck is she talking about? You know, so I had to start honing that shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you got to stay kind of like under your little cloak, keep your little mystique about yourself, because these motherfuckers don't know what the fuck you talking about. They gonna look at your ass like you crazy, then they gonna have the white coats come and snatch you up, you know?
Right.
So I had to learn that as well.
So these are the
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like you gotta really you gotta treat it like you're the adult and they're the child, no matter how old they are. Because you got the information. So are you gonna really come at a 5-year-old with some adult shit? Nah, you're not. And even if you do, you're gonna try to bring it on their level. And it's not dumbing yourself down. It's you being compassionate enough to be inner over and understanding that everybody ain't on your level. And you are able to then at that point say, you know what? I can't give you the meat. I got to give you the milk. And if you're going to take this milk, then we can see how far we can go. Then you get the mushed up baby food. And then when you get to teeth, then I'm going to start giving you some shit that you can chew up. And then you're going to get the real shit after that. That's when you're going to get the meat. You can't, it's levels. And you can't look at people because of their age or where you think they should be. You can't look at it like that. And I look at the beauty in it because I've always been like with the old heads. Like I fucks with the old heads. But the old heads can't fuck with me on a certain level. But like I get certain game from them. But like, and I feel like when I talk, the way I talk, everybody listens, and it make me feel a little bit away because I'm a little bit shy. Like when I say that, my daughter be looking at me, and people who know me look at me like, bitch, you ain't no shy. It's because you know me. But amongst people who I feel like I gotta, and it's not dumbing myself down, I just gotta be compassionate enough to get where you're at. And that comes with a level of maturity spiritually, because everybody can't get it. And that's like when your child needs a tutor. Like some children, they just excel, but some children need that extra help, and that's the children of the Most High out here too. Everybody is not gonna get it, and so if they want it, and you want to be their teacher, then just be patient with them, But if they don't want it, it ain't no reason for you to stretch yourself out.
Look, trust me, it was literally dumbing myself down. I would have to, in order to engage with them, I would have to talk about fuckery. And you will see the light in their eyes, like a glimmer in their eyes. Once you talk, the conversation was like, it was just like, some shit that none of us were benefiting from. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I would endure the conversation because it was the level. I had to meet them at their measures. I'm well aware of that. But at the same time, I'm sitting here processing this shit like, right, you're getting a kick out of this. You're getting a kick out of this nothing ass conversation. And I gotta sit here and entertain. I don't want to make you seem as if, you're less than, or, no big eyes, no little U's, because that's what people, they communicate and interact with you based on the level that they're used to. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
something they're accustomed to, like the old you. You feel me?
Okay.
So when you start growing and increasing in knowledge and growing spiritually, it's like they don't know that individual.
Right. They want to hold you to who you used to be, basically.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it gives them a sense of comfort. You know what I mean?
But
so
if it's and I'll say this to you, Tai, if it's worth it to you, whoever those people are, or it might be one person, if it's worth it to you, then just be patient. But if it's, because I said because I'm not like the most, that's why I was like, damn, me being a mother, I never saw myself that, because I have a short fuse. I have a low tolerance for bullshit, and
exactly.
I was always a really good auntie. I was like the best auntie. But for me, had to have my own child, it made me have to practice a level of patience. And oh my God, I know the reason why my child was brought into my life, because I always had a spark. You know what I'm saying? And depending on where the fuck I was at, it was turning into a whole fire. But like being a parent, it teaches you how to have compassion and how to have patience. And not to say that if you're not a parent, you're not going to have that. But I started to realize adults my age and better under me, these ones under me, oh man, these millennials, yeah, they got a little something. But I feel like I'm the one who is going to be their elder to blaze that fucking path for them, because y'all, they doing their thing. Because I was telling JonTre like a few weeks ago, I was like kicking it with one of my homegirls. She's younger than me, and she had all of these other people in the house, and they was all in their 20s, and I'm looking like, damn, I'm the auntie right now. I'm the old bitch in the club. Like, I'm just like, but like everything they was talking, I'm like, oh yeah, these little motherfuckers. But when I started talking, everybody just shut the fuck up, and I was like, oh okay. But these younger people, they have something different, because I feel like we kind of bridging the gap, because we got that old thought that we was raised in, and then we got something different. We got this fucking new thought, and we coming into this whole the dawning of the age of the Aquarius. The Aquarius is the thinker. It's the age of information that we're in, and we have information that our parents and our grandparents and everybody they didn't have that. The lecture circuit at one point in time was what it was, and if you wasn't privy to that, because it wasn't no internet back in like the early 90s and stuff like that, so the lecture circuit was what it was. But those was people who like wanted to get that information. But now information is at our fingertips, and these children and these younger ones, they got that information, and they getting it on a level as to where we didn't have that. So we was coming into like I said, bridging the gap. Like we that middle point to help the older ones and the younger ones come together. And so like, if it's worth it to you, of course you need to have that type of patience. But if these motherfuckers just around you is just on some dumbass shit, then you have got to really reevaluate. Like, it's not even worth me having a conversation with you.
But
family or not.
Yeah, you also can't.
It's in social environments. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
These are the environments.
You got to keep it that way, because even because you don't want to reveal who you are to everybody.
Exactly. So that'd be my thing.
Yes, I want to say this before I forget. When Aisha was speaking, and Aisha, let me introduce you to Leanne right quick. Leanne, Aisha, Leanne. Want to make sure.
Hello.
Have y'all met before? Y'all never met? This the first time?
We did another. Didn't we do another podcast?
Yeah.
Oh yes, I see her face.
Her very first one. Y'all, everybody. This when Hank was here.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's good stuff.
Well,
anyway,
Hank.
This is what I want to. You say what?
Celebrating.
He's celebrating. He just got his marketing director's promotion, so we're excited for him.
Okay, for
So
sure.
listen,
Congratulations, Hank.
this is what I want. This is what I kind of in all of our journeys, when we think about us, you know, asking these questions when we was young, what I realized was we was all asking questions out of being fearless, right? We wasn't afraid to ask these questions. We was these kids like thinking like, wait a minute, something ain't adding up here, right? And it wasn't that we was bad. It was we was rebelling against conformity. We wasn't trying to conform to their rules. We knew like something ain't right, and then it sit well with our spirits, right? And what we see now today is what you talk about, Isha, with the children, this new generation. You see fearless. These kids are fearless, and they need the bridge they got. That fearless needs to be cultivated.
Yes.
And you know, put into a position of power. So they can go ahead and do the darn thing, you know, so they can rise themselves up above all this bull crap. Because they notice some bull crap, and it's hard for them to express it because they got the elders trying to suppress it with this conformity. So
because
in my man, I'm
elders,
gonna tell you guys.
Yeah, go ahead. My bad. I don't want to try to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Then I'll tell it.
No,
Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
I'm building off what you were saying, like how the elders is trying to suppress it, right? Because the elders are living still in fear. You see what I'm saying? They're in fear of the unknown, like people every day scared to die. You know, everybody's gonna die. So they're in fear of what change is. They're so comfortable with what it is. You know, people are comfortable, man. Like that's why this journey is lonely, because people are comfortable with what it is. Yeah. But we were the ones, like you say, that were different, and people don't like what's different. People like to be in the in crowd. No, you ain't about to keep me in this box. I'm about to bust all 4 of these walls down and get up out this box and be able to roam free. Right. I could jump in everybody's box. I could jump in this one.
I'm a chameleon.
You're not going to keep me in this box, but at the same time, I'm going to be camouflaged. I'm not going to reveal who I am. I'm not going to let everybody know what I know, because I always like people to reveal themselves to me because of what I know. Because I look at what we know, all 5 of us, and how we think and how we move as a diamond. If you was to find a diamond in a mine or some gold, a gold mine, you would keep it a secret because it's precious and valuable. Some people would try to take that from you. You know, if they can't take it from you, they try to point you out. This is how Jesus got put on the cross. I don't care what nobody says. Ain't nobody about to just sacrifice themselves for some people who don't give a fuck. Them people didn't give a fuck. That's why they allowed him to get put on the cross, just to say the whole story. I'm not saying if it was real or not, but the story, he died for all of our sins, right? But we have... You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody in this world. If he was created as a man, we don't think like. That's why I was telling Isha the other night. If he was created as a man, that's why there's certain stuff not in the Bible. You know, this is why you don't have the woman, what she was saying earlier, Leanne, about how the woman in the Bible is neglected. And we were talking about this the other night too, Isha. I realized that. These are some of the things why I was questioning as a child. Like, why marrying, I call her Jesus' wife or Jesus' girlfriend or whatever. Why they got the same name? And what me and Isha was talking about the other night, I was like, because the way they wrote the Bible, Mary and Magdalene and Mary, the mother, are the same people.
Facts.
When you
because
think
you
as
gotta
a
even look at it like
when you think as a conscious person, I'm seeing like the people who changed and rewrote this Bible, these motherfuckers don't think like us. They don't have the power to have the brain and the capacity to try to, they thought we were dumb. So they feel like, oh, we could just write this as Mary the Virgin. No, Mary was a trick. You know what I'm saying? She was out here doing what she had to do. She got pregnant on her future husband. Like I said, why did they even mention Joseph? You know, why? What was his purpose anyway? Like, he didn't do nothing. He really didn't do nothing but help her escape from getting stoned.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It lends to credibility. Women in the Bible were not credible unless they were tied to a man.
Facts.
No, and that's exactly the facts, because the whole premise behind the Bible in the beginning was that Eve was the one who let Adam be deceived. She's the one who she was the deceiver, not the devil. It was the woman. So the woman is looked at as being wicked and the worst motherfucking thing. And so with that thought, you gotta tame a woman. You gotta fucking suppress her and oppress her. You have got to be the one to make her like your motherfucking child. When, oh, no. The woman is actually your fucking savior. If you look at anything that's demonized, you got to look a little bit deeper to see anything they telling you not to fucking do. You need to do that, because there's power in what they're telling you not to do. So this is a rebellion on a whole nother level. We was rebellious on a whole nother level, because if you're telling me to do some shit, why are you telling me to do that shit?
Like,
can you explain it?
Even the story of Eve, like, as a conscious mind, before I could believe that, when I was a Christian and practicing that as a Christian, I could believe that whole. And once I got in the conscious mind and got into the science of it and all of that, and what an atom is really not Adam. Remember, we was talking about the wordplay in English. Yep. It has an origin. So the atom is really not ADAM. It's really ATOM.
ATOM, yes.
And evening, why they try to make it a woman, but it really is not a woman. It's just somebody that was evil. It's short for evil. What Eve is really evil. Right. And when they use the Eve, it's comparing evil to darkness. You see what I'm saying? Because Eve is dark. When the sun set, it's evening. You know what I'm saying? So I never look at it as a woman, because I already know for a fact the woman is the spirit. That's why they be like, you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the woman, because you can't have the Son without the woman. So all that craziness and her and Mary laying down with the spirit and all that, a spirit came down and had sex with all that craziness.
Your cue, Queen. Saeed. I'm sorry. That's your cue. Did you get your cue to come in? Go ahead and say it.
We have this conversation so much, you know.
Go ahead and get it out there, Queen. Yeah, we got to 2 hours.
It's indicative of how the European has been so afraid of women, and black women in particular, the feminine essence. You know what I mean? You take a father, a son, and put a ghost in her stead. Like, what, the man fucked the ghost and had a son? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
you know?
Like they really scared of man and woman sex, period. That's what the people who wrote this Bible really don't like man and woman to conform together. They rather have man and boy together. That's why they got the father and the son, because they on some fruit shit. Let's just keep it 100, because it's in the Catholic Church, that same story, and you see what the Catholic priests do. We ain't gonna bullshit. They out here fucking these little boys, and Isha know the power of what they say going through the gland of the ass and all that craziness, spiritual shit.
They call it pederastry.
That's crazy shit.
That was going on.
Vampire worshiping shit.
Churches was established. Even before the Christian church was established, pederastry was rampant in the European culture. You know what I mean? Especially during the Christian crusade.
Yeah, the Greeks.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Even before, the Greeks. Even before the Greeks, the Persians. You know what I'm saying? That's just their nature, man. Let's just be.
Because you gotta be clear. You gotta be clear, because you look at how they revered their women. They fake put them on a pedestal so much to the point where they wasn't having sex with the women only to procreate, but they was having sex with each other. Let's just be clear.
Each other and the little boys. That's the whole concept.
But like the spirituality in it, and I cannot say that without saying that the anal sex is a portal. That's a portal as well, but it's a low
Indeed.
level portal. The yoni is a portal that brings life into this world. When you have sex up the
Indeed.
anus, it's a portal to bring low level vibrations into this world, and it's usually fear based. And when we let's look at just sheer pleasure, because I mean, let's just be clear, you know, some people get pleasure out of that shit. But when we talking about you are bringing fear, fear is the vibration, and fear can be worked with on an energetic level. And it doesn't even have to be that, but that is one of the most powerful, because I always say sex magic is the most powerful magic that you can perform in this realm. So they can give us all these narratives to bring us lowly down into fear, but when you go into that portal, that anus portal, which is actually exit only, but when you going into the exit door and you're going in there, that is creating a low level of a vibration. And I don't shit on no gay people. I'm whatever. I don't do that. But the science behind it is, because I'm a scientist at the end of the fucking day, and you gotta fucking really study what the fuck that's bringing into this fucking into this level of existence. It's a low level vibration, and that is where them raping little boys. Let's be clear on that, raping little boys, because that's bringing something from that portal into this world, and we have to be clear on what the fuck that shit is as conscious people. That yes, we are learning different things, but spirituality is the very most important, and it's very key to getting even what the fuck you start to learn in this life when you start reading these books and everything.
Oh,
there's a bridge. You have to bridge the gap, because you're going to be stuck still in just regular ass human shit.
They're going to be stuck. I think, you know, like you said, the anal, they just look, it's lost people looking for shit.
But that's it's a part of their, it's a part of their makeup.
It's
you know,
analog.
It's a part of their genetic makeup. They do things from a left brain or
analog, right? But see that kind of stuff like that. All right, that whole thing. But to bring that into something that is religious based. Okay, I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. So to play with the spirits like that, right? A child is supposed to be innocent because they don't know nothing. They have to learn. They're gaining from the elders. You know what I'm saying? But for you to play with the innocent like that, you take that innocence away like that, and then just push them back into the world. You know? That shit's wrong, man. And they all need to be burned. I'm talking about these priests. These priests playing with this witchcraft, playing with these spells. You know what I'm saying? That's why I call Christianity, now that I got conscience, when I look at Christianity, ain't nothing but vampire worship to me because of the rituals. You know, when every first Sunday, this is my body, take, eat. That's cannibalism. Here's my blood, drink. This is all vampire cannibalism to me. This is you practicing in something you don't even know or have knowledge of because you're taking it. You're not researching it. You're just sitting there every Sunday taking what somebody's telling you, and you probably are open during the week. You probably open your Bible probably twice. You know what I'm saying?
Or not at all.
No, but even when they do open their Bible, they're only reading it with their seeing
surface level.
Right. They don't know how to break that shit down to the
point.
No,
the average Bible reader don't realize that the Bible is consistent. It consists of a code encrypted inside. Right. They take it for face value. You know what I mean? They don't know there's a metaphysical, spiritual aspect
like
to the Bible.
They actually think somebody's coming
out
the sky. And then
but they don't understand
but that person coming out the sky could be an alien from what they know.
It's astrological. That's how the motherfuckers can be deceived, because the government will bring that Project Bluebeam shit into fucking fruition, and you're gonna think that Jesus is coming out the sky, but it's very astrological. When we talking about the woman running from the beast. There was an astrological lining up of the stars in 2015 that fulfilled the prophecy in the Bible, where the woman, and when we're talking about the woman, we're talking about Virgo, the virgin. There was an astrological phenomenon in the sky that happened in 2015. If y'all can all look this shit up, that the woman was seemingly being eaten by the beast. And I can't remember what constellation was in the sky at that point in time, but you can look this shit up. That prophecy has already been fulfilled, but it happened in the stars. The fucking Bible is called, the Bible is Helios Biblios. It's the book of the sun. It's an astrology book. It's a book of astrology. And if you're not into the stars, then you're not going to get half that shit.
Yeah, but astrology comes from where? Who was the masters before that Bible was written? Who was the masters to be able?
It wasn't. It's not even that. It's a compilation. It's a compilation.
Our people knew how to tell what using the stars. Them Christopher Columbus and them motherfuckers didn't even know if they were going left or right. They had to kidnap us to be able to goddamn point them to where they needed to go. You see what I'm saying? They needed people that was here already to be able to learn them stars to know what was north and what was south. You see what I'm saying? So when I look at them times, like I'm like, they were killing us because they had to run into somebody they could trust that was actually taking them to where they need to go. You don't know how many brothers that they killed before they actually been able to get whatever was on the walls onto a piece of paper. You see what I'm saying? Don't think we were willingly just giving them the information. We could have gave them whatever. We might have gave them the spells. You know what I'm saying? To put them under a spell. But now they done turned it over and remixed it so much and touched it. They got their own witchcraft. And we gotta bring back they told us witchcraft, and we run away from our own magic because they told us it was evil because we stuck under this spell of religion.
Oh, dude. Magic.
We stuck under this realm of religion instead of being.
We about to be on this thing for 2.5 hours.
All right, I know we about to go. You know how we get deep. That's the
man,
whole
this
point.
is a good conversation. Y'all know what I'm gonna tell you. I'll be honest with you. When you talked about the anal and answering a whole different portal, that was some deep stuff. I'm like, dang, I ain't even look at it like that. But hey, it's exit only.
But you know, it's exit only. But that doesn't mean people don't go in the exit. We do it all the time. We in the supermarket and say the exit, and we go in that motherfucker anyway. Right. And there's a whole bunch of motherfuckers coming out. Like you gotta really see like the way I even look at dark magic. Like dark magic is not actually bad. It's tapping into something. It's just like this is how I do vicious ass analogies.
But
you look at your house, right?
If
you're in the living room, just listen to this real quick. If you're in the living room and you're plugging up all your electronics in the living room, but you got 2 other bedrooms and they don't have nothing plugged into none of those sockets in the fucking bedrooms, right? And you're overloading the circuits in your fucking living room, then your fucking house is gonna fucking go dark. But if you just take some of them shits out and go into the rooms, the dark rooms that doesn't have no illumination, and you plug shit, you're going to get more power. So the dark motherfuckers don't go toward the dark because, first of all, they don't know what's in that motherfucker. They're afraid of it. And if you're only looking to the light and that's it, then that's where everybody else is. You got to go where no man has gone before. So at the end of the day, you can use power, whether it be light magic or dark magic, to do either evil or good. You see it every day. People use light magic to motherfucking take people's minds over. So it's not good and bad that we should be looking at when we're spiritual beings. It's the intent behind whatever it is that you're doing. If you are all
energy, that's right.
Energy can be applied.
That's right. That's some real stuff right there.
Ain't no bad energy, bad magic, black magic.
Right. They only call it dark magic. People scared of darkness.
That is good and good is bad at the end of the day. What we should be seeking is balance. It ain't about being bad or good. It's about about being balanced. So you take some good and you take the bad and you mesh it together. Because in the Bible, it says all things are working together for good for those who love the Most High. Now they say that, but we really know when we're spiritual people that means bad and good work together for the people who are balanced. That's what the fuck that is. What? Because the Most High is every the fuck thing. It's everything. It's dark and light meshed together to make that motherfucking balance, that MAAT, that part.
In regards to balance, MAAT, that's all sin is when your life is out of balance. There's no such thing as you living in sin. You may be living in sin, but it's not to the extent that these church concepts got people thinking, right?
That's evil, right?
Sin is imbalance, right? That's imbalance in your life. It's so spooky shit, you know.
And all I was saying is they call it dark magic because it comes from our people. We are dark people. So when they say dark magic, it's basically saying that black magic and all that, it's basically is what it's saying. Black people's magic. It's our stuff. It's our stuff that the Haitians was using to whoop the British people ass. The reason why Haitians don't get help to this day from America, because they whooped the British with that dark black magic. When they had guns, we used our spirituality and raised up the dead and had the dead chasing their ass, and they were spooked.
Yeah.
But this was a good episode, for real. We got a lot out. I think we see how familiar and similarities of all our journeys. This is why we're connected, like Voltron. It's a women thing, you know, black women thing. It's a spiritual thing. That's why I have women on here, so to kind of define that triangle, that pyramid. You know, we get some young, like I want to thank my guest that I interviewed, Sarion. Y'all go check him out. I'm gonna start sharing his stuff. I had a good interview with that young brother. He's very talented. I think he's a future superstar. He's like does everything. Like, I'd like to thank y'all for being here for 15 episodes. You know, we at the halfway mark, just to get to 20 and reboot and figure some stuff out, what we can add to it, some fun things, so we won't be serious every week. You know, we be serious, and it goes hard. So we hit them so hard, like this episode gonna hit them hard. Like, they ain't talking about the anal. See, they're gonna see it as the surface one. You know, the people that not woke like that, they're gonna be looking like why I was laughing, because I'm just thinking about the listeners. You know, I think about their reaction. Like, it's gonna go over their heads sometimes, you know. But I appreciate y'all.
But somebody gonna get it.
Of course, and y'all are very knowledgeable, and I appreciate meeting y'all. I appreciate everything y'all have done. I appreciate the things y'all doing on your own terms, you know, and continue to be great. Continue to be great.
I wish I would have came in earlier, but I was on the road. I just want to say one last thing. In the Bible, what was the only unforgivable sin? Does anybody know? And before I say, if nobody knows, just think about the seemingly balanced household. You got the mom and the daddy and the children, right? And when the children rebel against their mother, what the mama say? Wait till your father get home. You're gonna get it. And when your daddy get home, you get it. You gonna get it. That the only unforgivable sin in the Bible was blaspheming the Holy Spirit. What that mean? You speaking against his woman. You speaking against the Most High's woman. You speaking against God's woman. You disrespect. That's the only unforgivable sin. So you got to know the spirit is the woman. It's a feminine spirit, and I don't like to use male female terms when I'm talking about spirit, because it's too base. Because when we're talking about divine feminine and divine masculine, we are talking about something that lies within women and men. We all have masculine and feminine energy within every one of us, no matter if you're a man or a woman. So that's why even good and bad, we're talking about opposite ends of one fucking thing. Even when you're talking about charges of a battery. You got the negative charge of the battery and you got the positive charge of the battery, but they're both needed to make that battery work. So the negative is not bad and the positive is not necessarily good, but they both work together to make that battery. And that's all I want people to ever think about, is that stop thinking in this low level term like bad is because this person is doing this, that, or the third, and good is because you see this motherfucker do it, this, that, and the third. But it doesn't mean that. So stop looking at shit as good and bad, and look at shit as it needs to be balanced.
Okay. I promise you, this is it, y'all. I promise you, this is it. I got my thought process when I was talking earlier about, being conformed, the conformity we was talking about earlier. So I was in a deep thought about some stuff my son had did, right? I usually talk to him. He's in college, of course. He's a young grown man, and he smoked weed. Point blank to the guys, he smoked weed or whatever. Hey, I was one of the chiefers when I was coming up, me and his dad, right? So honestly, he got it honest. So I was looking at this image he had posted this image on his Instagram page, right? And of course, my traditional thinking kicked in. It was like, oh, we got to take that down. What's wrong with him? He up there smoking weed, and you see the smoke coming out of his mouth. And whoever did the picture, it was a form of artwork, right? But then as I thought about it, and I looked, I said, damn, this is pretty cold. I was like, this is a cold piece of work. I'm like, dang, this artist is off the chain. And then I thought, so I was like, you know what? Who the hell he got the answer to? We entrepreneurs. He a freaking entrepreneur. Who do you have to answer to? So it's just that thought, like, just breaking that traditional thinking. It's like we always think something is bad. But when I looked into the picture, I was like, this is cold. And I want to share it with y'all once I get a chance to get it.
That's because we've been conditioned for that. And like what Isha was saying, stop thinking things is bad and good, right? Because when you go take these results and these tests that you want them to come back negative, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a deep thought. Right.
Now, we're gonna leave them on that. We're gonna leave them on that. So I want to thank Leanne for coming this week. You always welcome, I tell you that. Isha, Ty, Veronica, we got another good one, and this is how I'm gonna leave it. Stop leaving your kids a bill and leave them a will, and we out. Spark the Convo.
See you guys. Good night.
Peace.
Good night.
Love y'all.
Love y'all too, man. Be safe. Stay vigilant. Stay ready.